Hi everyone, welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Shafano. I'm going to discuss again the Constitution and HOA and why I still have some difficulty in agreeing with the fact that HOA can be constitutional. And the reason I'm questioning it again is because I listen to a lot of the hearings that the federal government holds, and when they're trying to interview the judges that they do, and they talk about certain things. And I was watching it the other day, and they were talking about due process and how important due process is. And the subject came up where why can police officers pull over a group of cars, on the road and do a spot check of people's time and effort and look into them and check to see if they've been drinking. So we call them DUI stops. But what was brought up is what gives them the right to do that, to stop people, inconvenience them, and hold them to be searched under this, thing. Is it constitutional? And so they were discussing that because there is no due process. You're allowing this officer to in search everyone and look for things with no reason. No, it doesn't have a reason. They're just looking. They're just hoping they find something, which, doesn't it can be a good and a bad thing. Trying to be proactive with the police and trying to make sure that people aren't doing bad things ahead of time is great. But when you start violating our rights to due process, that's when it becomes a violation. So we allow for our HOAs not to offer any due process. Now they call it due process by, oh, we're offering you a hearing. But that hearing, if you get a speeding ticket with the courts, they give you three options. You can contest it, you can pay it, or you can, defer it. So there's like three different things. But here it's like you get this ticket in an HOA for your grass being too long. But if you don't get the notice and you don't respond to the notice, the association doesn't take they take the action of going right for your home. So there's no, small claims court system. There's nothing else. That board just takes your home. They just send your $50 ticket to the attorney. The attorney starts tacking on immediately. The first fee they tack on is probably a 300 fee to check to see if there's any bankruptcies on your account. They do a background kind of thing. And then it's probably about another $400 to $800 to apply the lien. Got to discuss it with the board. So there's some more. So now that $50 fine is thousands of dollars. That's where it becomes unconstitutional. We have given the privilege to a private professional trades group attorney to charge fees. The property manager gets to charge fees. For doing all these things. The property manager actually charges the homeowners to come out looking for fines. We are paying our property managers to come look for fines, to charge us so that they can take our homes in the future. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me, but we'll keep going with that. So once I get that fine, I have to go to the board to get a hearing. Well, the board is the accuser. They're the ones that are driving around looking for the fines. So that would be our police officers are driving around looking for the fines. So we get pulled over for a speeding ticket in your city by that police officer. That police officer doesn't get to come to the courts and judge you also. They don't get to be the jury, judge, and executioner, which the board does. And I have a really hard time with that, especially with fines and fees. I understand past due assessments. I understand them completely. They have to be paid. We have to do what we can. We have to get the collections. If we are desperate for those assessments, then we have to get those payments made. The fines and fees, those are different. Those are totally different. Those are people's opinions. They are arbitrary and they should not be allowed to be assessed to homeowners' accounts. Those fines and fees should go to small claims court. That's where they belong. They belong where a judge that has been trained to do this, that can show that he is impartial, he or she is impartial, and that they won't take sides. And these judges in these small claims courts, they're smart. They're not stupid. So I don't know, because I've seen attorneys show up at small claims court pleading that they take that case because it's an HOA case out of small claims. Why? The only person that benefits is that attorney is doing it on purpose. And actually, that attorney is telling the judge that the judge's too stupid to figure it out. That's not the case. These are homeowners associations supposed to be ran by the homeowners. So why is CAI pushing for them not to be held in small claims court? Because CAI would not benefit and profit from them using small claims court. CAI, the only way those attorneys make money is if there's conflict, and those attorneys are putting you into foreclosure on purpose. I have the evidence. It's crazy to see what they're doing, and it's crazy to see that especially our state, I know Washington state, the Constitution is the best, and we are ignoring it. In Washington state, if you get a $25 fine from the government, you have the right to due process. You have the right to be defended in court. You even have the right to an attorney that will be assigned to you for your court date. When you go in for your speeding ticket with the court, you get an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, they assign one to you. Why don't we get assigned one to us in HOA? Because we have the right to an attorney in those situations. These are private contracts. You want to say they're a private contract, yet Boeing has private contracts, but I don't see Boeing getting to take homes for that private contract. I don't see Boeing get to do things that are discriminatory, selective enforcement. You don't get to see these other corporations in Washington state get to do these things, or any other state. But you do get to see HOA do it. The Attorney General is the first person to say, we have no governance over HOA. We don't control HOA. They're above. Well, if these HOAs are above the Attorney General's office, then they are rogue nations in our nation. And we need to start calling it out. Start contacting your Attorney General and let him know that you're not happy that they're allowing rogue nations in our nation. So let's start fighting with what we know. And we know that these forms of punishment are cruel and unusual punishment. To take a home for a $50 fine with no due process, these are arbitrary. These are not exact. They don't have any evidence you did it, and they don't have any evidence you didn't comply. When I asked an attorney how they deem a person into compliance, they don't. They don't. That was her answer. Well, they don't. They have a year. They have a year, and if they don't violate it again, then they're deemed to be in compliance. That's not what it says in the governing documents at all. So that attorney's just making things up to benefit them. So make sure you know and understand your governing documents. Make sure you report people. I don't care if the government does something or not, start reporting them. Report them to the Attorney General's office, because I will investigate those claims when I ask for the FOIA records from the state and from the US governments. So make those complaints. Make sure people know. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the next one.